Good morning, friends. Yesterday, I talked about Nick Consoletti. His picture is showing here. The bearded gentleman, that's Bob Quinn, his good friend next to him. And here's another picture of Bob and Nick. So that was kind of a reminiscence, and I showed memorial service pictures. And today is another somewhat of a memorial for my wife, who died today on St. Patrick's Day in 2007, so a dozen years ago. Today is St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Dawn was very attached to pre-Christian Celtic culture, Druidic culture. She was very into the Plantagenets as well. She studied British history quite a bit and did get to go there when she finally had her terminal diagnosis. She did take the time to go see some places that she'd always wanted to go, including, of course, Stonehenge and some places like that. So the pictures that I'm showing in a second are not taken by me. I didn't go on that particular trip. They got in really close. And let's see. I'm going to show you Dawn's mother, her dad, and Dawn herself, and make this a short video. Nick, by the way, did after his mom died in France. They have like detective agencies that make sure that next of kin always get a cut if a parent dies and there's something to distribute, right? And sometimes those are kids the parents didn't acknowledge. And I told the story. By the way, here's Dawn's mother, kind of dressed as a major, like she's in a marching band or something. When I met Dawn, her mother had just passed away, and surprisingly, like unfortunately, in unforeseen, right? It was a sudden death of her mom, and Dawn was pretty devastated by all that. And then her dad, it was because she had a heart procedure, and then she bled, in her bed, and they didn't catch it, like something like that, something they could have prevented. And this is her dad. Her dad was a very cool, mellow guy by the time I met him. Dawn was more scared of him growing up, though, and had a very, like I would say, pretty rough childhood compared to mine. I think she was somewhat jealous that, I had my share of troubles, we could say, but I think her travails were great, and she thought our life together was pretty good for both of us, and it was. Um, I grew immensely. It was for her, I think, and it definitely was for me. I can't speak for both of us, but I think everything was. Uh, we're very glad and proud of what we brought into the world, as well as what we contributed as professionals. Dawn was a bookkeeper, and so many people knew her. When she died, we had like 500 people. We packed the cathedral downtown, the Trinity, and walked the labyrinth. I'll end with that. The labyrinth was kind of her trademark, and I keep that going. A labyrinth is not a maze. She could teach people how to do these two, how to make them. I keep a labyrinth around in my writing as kind of a motif you'll have seen. Okay, that's about it. So Nick, yeah, he got some money from his parents, the detective agency from his mom, after she passed away. She wasn't too keen at first, as you recall on the Nick story, that she really did have, that he really was her son. She was highly skeptical, but then they got to know each other and exchanged a lot of letters and love, and I think she was fine with it, and Nick did get some money, but it did take a bit of a detective agency to make sure he got it. And then, of course, they get a cut. That's how it works. France has that kind of a setup. And Nick was back in the States by then, so there's a lot of long-distance communication going on. There's a lot more about Dawn in my blogs and a video biography too. So feel free to study that. If you're next of kin, that's more than study. If we use like remember, you know, if you're coming from far away and outside my family circle, I just want you to know what my life was like so that you have more insight if you need it. All right, thanks a lot. Talk to you again.